And we're here with Connor Ryan. Connor, what is up?
Nothing much, Evan. What's going on with you?
Oh, just the Bruins not doing a lot, and we thought they would do. It's a weird time, and this feels like normal. We're gonna jump right into it because there's a lot. Um, and usually we would do pleasantries, but everybody knows you and I record podcasts 24/7, as
Yeah,
Spokesheet says. So we might as well just jump right into things. I know how you're doing. You know how I'm doing. The listeners know how we're
both
doing.
tired. We've just been checking our phones every day for the last 5 days. So
Tired, beaten down, out of it. No, but so the Bruins right now seem to be doing a whole lot of nothing. And Saturday morning, I felt like maybe they might do something. They signed Craig Smith, which we were both big fans of that deal. They moved the press conference back Friday night, and we're thinking, a little something in the works here. And then Taylor Hall goes to Buffalo. Eric Gustafson went to where? A year and $3 million to
Philly,
Philly.
right?
Went to
Yeah.
Philly. And Toffoli goes to Montreal.
Yep.
And in the span of less than
Undervalue for the
24
market.
hours,
Yeah.
yes, nothing. What are the Bruins doing?
Well, Evan. Well, I'll be honest with you. I really don't know exactly what the overall game plan is. I can tell you probably what they're gonna say is the fact that they're evaluating who might be available for good value on the market, and I mean they have to re-sign Grizzlick and they got to re-sign DeBrusque, Chara if they want to do that, and then it remains to be seen how much money you're gonna have left, right? Maybe 4 or 5 million, maybe an available cap room, but it's not like the Bruins are hamstrung here in terms of what they can do. I mean, you can move assets to free up more cap. You can if you have to still address the vacancy on your decor now with Krug gone. So I mean, you can harken back to the fact that they miss out on Hall, which we don't even know how that went down. Like, if I don't know how Hall picks a team like
Classic
Buffalo, if
Buffalo.
there's over whatever offer the Bruins had, if they even had an offer out on him. I mean, they didn't even offer Torrey Krug a contract, and at that point, we hear that and you're pretty surprised by it. You're like, well, if they're not offering they're not even offering him a contract. They must have been circling back and being like, all right, we have 5+ million in cap that's freed up now. We can identify other targets to help the team. All right, what are they? Right? What are we doing? Because the Bruins are one of the few contending teams that enter this offseason with a lot of cap, or a good amount of cap at least to play with, to add pieces. And you look at the way the market's gone, and it's gone, absolutely down the drain in terms of what these guys were expected to make. I mean, if you told me you could get Tyler Toffoli for 4 years and 4.25, I think you'd be pumped with that, right? Like, the market is literally dipped to a level where you can add one or two pieces for good value, and the Bruins aren't doing anything. Like, even Gustafson, like, that was an easy fix in terms of filling in your lefty. And I'm not a big fan of Gustafson because, I mean, he's all offense and like no defense at all. But if you want to pitch it to me because they don't have any better options, that you put him with a guy like Kahlo and maybe it balances out a little bit. I don't really buy that, but you can pitch it to me, right? That's better than what the game plan is right now, which is Patrice Bergeron's 35, David Krejci's 34. Yeah, we're a better team as we roll out Urho, Vakanainen, and Jacob Zaboral. And people are like, well, you have to do that eventually. It's like, well, yeah, you do that eventually when either those guys are retired and you can take a hit and you're in a bridge year, or Bergeron is 31 and Krejci is 30, and you have 4 or 5 years down the road with that core. Now is not the time to do that. So I really don't get what the game plan is. And again, this news can change. I can check my phone as we're done with this podcast, and maybe they trade for a guy like Martinez or Schmidt or something like that. But right now, I mean, that's all I've been doing today is checking my phone and seeing guys on good value deals get signed as the Bruins aren't doing anything.
It's funny. I see these good value deals. I say, oh, is it the Bruins? Is it the Bruins? We all have Drager's tweet notifications on, and Pierre LeBrun and everyone were like, oh, it's the Bruins? And no, it's the Canadians, or oh, it's the Sabres, or oh, it's the Flyers. And it's funny. It's that time of the year where you check your phone all the time. But you also mentioned the Vegas aspect. So we're recording this Monday night. It's 7:53 right now, as I said that. So the Golden Knights just signed Alex Petrangelo, 7 years, $8.5 million per year. I believe.
8.8, I think, right?
8.8, 8.8 million.
Yeah.
It's a stinky contract. I mean, really not great. That is just giving up first round picks later down the line. But now Vegas has to trade off somebody. They have to free up cap space. And the feeling is it will be someone like Alec Martinez, who's due $4 million next year, good solid left shot defenseman, or Nate Schmidt, who's due $5.8 million, I believe, per year until 2025-26, which that is not a contract that excites me much. It shouldn't really excite anybody. It's not a good contract. That is a lot of money for someone like Nate Schmidt, but they're left shot D. They're definite top four guys. I'm more so if you have to pick between the two, because I think that is the obvious move the Bruins should make for one of those two. I think the easy move is Alec Martinez, because, someone said this on Twitter. I forget who it was. And I don't mean to, take their opinion, but I thought it was a good one in the sense that you don't know where this team's going to be in a year. Martinez is a UFA in a year. Get a year out of him in your top four, veteran guy, proven winner, scored that huge cup winner, which was like insane. I mean, it doesn't mean he's unbelievable, but that was a crazy. I mean, talk about a crazy crowd reaction,
right?
In a time when you miss him most. But good solid left shot defenseman, $4 million next year, UFA, veteran guy, could be a fit. It's a year. To me, that's the obvious one, and he's probably going to take less to get. Nate Schmidt is a little more expensive. Do you think the Bruins go that route? Because it feels like they're not doing anything obvious.
I mean, I think you look at the way the team's set up, and we heard during the presser with Don Sweeney talking about it, how they've embraced the youth movement in the past, and a guy like Kahlo, who no one really knew what to expect, and he turns heads. But again, I look back at that team. Bergeron was what, 32, 31 at that time,
Younger.
And Brendan Kahlo at least was, not saying. Who knows? Vakanainen as well. Maybe they become good defensemen this year, but that's a lot of risk you're running into on this team that needs to go all in. And also, I mean, how much have we talked about it? You look at, if you let Krug walk, gave you a chance to tinker and change kind of the identity of that decor, right? You could have added a guy who's bigger there. Not saying you had to get a goon or something, right? But you could at least get a more steady defensive presence back there, maybe a little bit bigger guy. I don't think Urho, Vakanainen, or Jacob Zboril are giving you a different look. They're not like a power play, whiz like Krug is, but they're not it's not like you went and got Nikita Zadorov or one of those guys who is drastically different in terms of what they would bring to the decor. And I think it's just a lot of risk you're running into if you're expecting those guys to all of a sudden be stepping in and playing. And again, it's not like it's a third D pairing role. It's you want one of those guys to be playing 18, 19, 20 minutes a night, every night. I mean, and then, if you want to trade guys, this is why, you go down all the different scenarios, and it's always tough to project how this offseason's going. I think we're getting a little bit of a bigger picture now that everyone's signing, now that the big chips have fallen. But, when you let a guy like Hall slip through your fingers, and we don't know how that even went down in terms of if the Bruins offered him anything or what the contract was. But, you sign a guy like Hall, you at least make a guy like DeBrusk or Bjork or a few of these other guys expendable. Now, if you want to trade for a legitimate guy, are you giving away DeBrusk to fill another spot on your decor now? Which, the perfect scenario would be, all right, there's plenty of perfect scenarios. But let's say they got Craig Smith and they signed Gustafsson just as a guy to slot in there, a competent NHLer at least. You can at least then keep DeBrusk, and you have all these other guys that should help your 5-on-5 game. Right now, it's any kind of solution you have. It's all right, you're trading for a guy and you're giving away assets, most likely guys up front that you're hoping are going to cash in on 5-on-5 play. And then, who you signing that's left on the free agent market that drives play at 5-on-5? Because I've already said on Twitter, I'm going down to my grave, that if they sign Mike Hoffman, I have to live stream myself watching the Adam Sandler movie, Hubie Halloween, which I'm not
Yeah, I
thrilled
can't
about.
wait. You're gonna be watching that movie like you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, well, like that's the thing is like you're gonna sign one of those guys, and everyone's gonna be like, "This is good signing." He's a 25 goal
Cup is
scorer. It's like,
on. Stanley
dude,
Cup is on.
he's like he sucks defensively. You're gonna be tearing your hair out, and he gets all of his offense because he plays like 78% of the power play minutes on Florida. He's gonna get
Yeah.
those. Is he gonna get those at with the Bruins? And if he's on the top power play unit, all right, you put him at the net front. That's not where the Bruins generate all their chances from. It's not going net front. You still, even with Krug out, you're still probably going bumper. You're still going a guy, at the left elbow. Like Pasta's still going to be at the left circle. Like it's not like they're going to change their whole decor structure around to suit Mike Hoffman.
I don't understand the whole allure with Hoffman. I mean, the guy's had a lot of he's had some problems in the past with teammates. I know that doesn't make everything, but that's something. And you add on top the fact that he is just this offensively dynamic guy. His shot's really good. Like
Yes.
Bruins Stats said this on Twitter the other day. The fact that his goals are so much higher than his expected goals is a problem. Like that doesn't age well. You can't be scoring a bunch of snipes and one-timers until you're like late into your midway through
unless
your
you're
30s.
like Ovechkin, right? And he's
Yes,
not
unless you're Alex
Like,
Ovechkin, and he's not
you have
Alex
to have,
Ovechkin.
yeah. So
Is Mike Hoffman Alex Ovechkin? My column.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the thing is, and the whole allure with Dadonov too. I don't know a heck of a lot about Dadonov. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a Dadonov expert. Can't spell dad without Dadonov, I guess. So
there you go.
maybe there's that. I guess we can make that joke a lot if he comes to the Bruins.
Mhm.
But I don't think he's much of an upgrade. In that regard,
and he gets a lot of his like chances off the rush and stuff, and he's helped out a lot he's played. I think like you look at his numbers, and I mean, it's like a no shit Sherlock kind of stat, but like when he's playing with Barkov and Huberdeau, the stats are great. When he's not, it tails off, and I think also it helps that he has like another playmaking guy on the wing, and Huberdeau, who's probably one of the better passers. I mean, probably him and Marchand are probably the best passing left wings in the game, probably. Yeah. And so you put him with, it depends on where you kind of slot him in the lineup, but does he fit with a guy like Krejci, or when he's got another guy like Kasha who also likes to shoot too? So that fit seems kind of weird in terms of Dadonov, and he's 31, coming from the KHL a few years back, had a great first year. This year he kind of took a step back. It's not it, and I'm, you sign a few of these guys who are out there. It's not like you were looking for like, game breakers or anything like that. Like if they signed Toffoli, I'm not expecting him to be a 30 goal scorer, but you'd probably pencil him in for 20 goals, 14 5-on-5 goals or something like that, and helps you out a lot, but if, Craig Smith is your only upgrade, and again, I think we both love Craig Smith and what he'd bring to the team, but you're still running a lot of risk in terms of getting all you can out of that whole lineup, and especially now where, I mean, the decor went from being like a very good, very promising unit that, again, McAvoy can be a lot better next year. Brendan Carlo can be a lot better next year. There's a whole bunch of guys that can improve. Yeah, Grizzly can improve. But still, like, there's still a few guys on that. Not even say weak links. It's not fair to call like a rookie or a guy like that, in that role, but you look at how a few of these last teams that have been in the Cup or the Cup final have gone, they'll kind of follow the same template. Like Tampa was a wagon, right? They've got skill all over, but big decor, tough to get inside against, and you got a good goalie who's elevated to elite status because they're not getting anything past him. St. Louis, huge decor.
not now.
Goalie, yeah, exactly. Goalie who shit his pants this year. Last year was elite because you couldn't get anything by them because you had Petrangelo, you had Parayko, Bouwmeester, all those guys, right?
Edmondson, Gunnarsson.
Yeah. Look at Dallas. I mean, Heiskanen's like not a physical guy, but he's like 6'1". Lindell, Jamie Alexiak, all those guys. Nothing inside. Like you notice the trend here. It's like,
ooh, I think I noticed the trend.
And again, it's not even that like the same argument, right? Where it's, you have to get a bunch of big goons or something. You have to get everyone who's 6'6". You have to get like all Alexiaks who, granted he's bigger, he's better than a big, doofus out there, but you don't have to like just goon it up and get just big guys and knock guys around. But you also can't have 3 or 4 of your guys be 5'11" playmakers. You have to get something there, right? We
Well,
also
that's
don't
the
even know.
thing. Jacob Zaboral, by the way, is small.
Yeah, is he 6 feet, 5'11"?
No, I don't think he is. Someone can correct me on this. I don't believe he is. So Sweeney's talked about Jacob Zaboral, and it's like, so you're gonna roll out Zaboral, Chara, Grzelcyk, or and also the other thing.
Yeah, they also haven't signed Zdeno Chara yet. So
they haven't signed Zdeno Chara yet. So Chara, Vakanainen, Grzelcyk, and Zaboral. I mean, your left side, even with Chara, is not looking super promising. Now, we're both high on Grzelcyk's potential, but again, it's all potential. It's not, you're not going into the season with definites on your left side. At least that's what it feels like. And that to me is an issue. And this leads me to my next point. The Atlantic Division got a whole lot better in the past few days, and the Bruins really haven't. You go team by team. I mean, the Lightning, they just won a cup. They had to put Johnson on waivers. That team's good no matter what. The Maple Leafs go out and get TJ Brody. I don't think they got that much better. I don't think they improved that much.
Man, TJ Brody's a good signing. He fits better.
Yes,
for what
I
agree.
agree.
From Barry, but still,
I agree. Yeah, you didn't get a surefire number one defenseman that you needed. So to me, I don't think they got that much better, but still, they improved. TJ Brody, I think, is a little bit of an upgrade from maybe a Tyson Barrie, at least in that system. And then you can go down the list. I mean, the Habs got a ton better. Josh Anderson and Tyler Toffoli. They had a great draft. And then you have the Senators, who aren't going to be a threat now, but drafted really well, have Matt Murray, so it's not going to be as easy to play. It's not going to be easy to beat them now, potentially, even though they probably lost to Claire. But they're going to be better in the future. The Red Wings are going to be better in the future. The Sabres just got Taylor Hall. I mean, granted, we don't want to believe in the Sabres.
They're going to lose every game 7-4, but at least Taylor Hall will get his 42 goals and hit the market next year when the cap's flat again, because you can't go to an arena until 2022. But congrats, Taylor Hall, on trying to corner the market there.
Taylor Hall's he's playing chess, and we're all playing checkers, I guess.
Yeah,
that's the thing. The Taylor Hall thing made sense. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, if you want to boost up all your numbers.
If you're trying to find the rationale, it's there of playing with Eichel. He knows Ralph Kruger, and he's going to probably get 40 goals or 35 goals and 80 points. He's going to get that, but I don't know how he's going to get paid next year because the cap is not expanding. The revenue needs to go back
find
to
a way
what
to give him $13 million a year.
Yeah, that's what it's going to end up being. They're going to be still a shitty team with no goaltending, and Rasmus Dahlin is going to get sick and probably want out, and they probably won't even be able to pay him when he's due for a new contract anyway. So
it's funny that the cities that Taylor Hall has played in, Edmonton, New Jersey, Arizona, Buffalo. I mean, that is like, ooh.
That's how to pick him, apparently. So
ooh. But I mean, I just couldn't believe it, and I think not a lot of people could. But again, I guess it's to play with Eichel. And I think also Buffalo did it from a standpoint of we need to satisfy Jack Eichel. I think that was the whole rationale behind the move. And this does. I mean, Taylor Hall, Jack Eichel is going to be a fun tandem to watch. It's just I would rather not have to watch the rest of the team. As I said on Twitter, they're the Walmart version of the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Somewhat stacked on offense. They also have Eric Stahl. Defensively and goaltending, not so much. So, but they're still better, and that's still not going to be an easy team to beat. But it's not going to be. The Sabres aren't going to be as easy to play as they have been in the past for the Bruins. So you have this Atlantic Division getting better. You have the Senators and Red Wings getting much better for the future. Same with the Canadiens. The teams, the Maple Leafs and the Lightning at the top are still, probably going to be in the playoffs. At least the Lightning we can bet on. And it seems like the Bruins are kind of treading water in the division. Now, they're still good. I still think they're a top 3 team in the Atlantic, no doubt. But I don't know. Things aren't looking too hot.
No, I mean, also, we talk about this every single year, but, you've got the luxury of having a great top line and a great veteran core. But what happens the year when, it's inevitable when Bergeron's groin limits him to 35 games or David Krejci skills start declining? It's going to happen sooner or later, right? These guys got a lot of mileage on them, and you haven't done pretty much anything other than getting Craig Smith, who again is a good player, but that's not enough. That's going to supplement what happens when one of these guys takes a step back, or you have to, add other talent to kind of supplement what you've lost. And especially look at that decor, man. I mean, that left side is not looking like too great right now in terms of just
Ooh.
projecting going into the year. And I mean, even look beyond the Atlantic, man. Like Joe Sakic has been running train on everyone this entire
Oh my
offseason in
God, it's
Colorado.
incredible.
Every single move they're making, is they're hitting out of the park. And you got them, you got Vegas, you got all these teams that are just loading up right now. And those are the teams I think that scare you. You know, it's Tampa. You got those teams out west that are kind of sitting there. And it's, what are the Bruins doing to kind of counter that when you're letting all these deals for good value too? It's not like they're letting to fully sign a 5-year, $30 million contract and they're sitting out of that. You know, it's like you're letting these guys in a bootleg, trash market, and you've got the cap space to at least be players for. You might have to move some pieces around down the road, but these guys are signing at this point now, and they're just kind of passing you by.
That's what's a little concerning is the fact that they have this cap space. So they have about 11 million in cap, a little bit over according to Cap Friendly, which God bless Cap Friendly. They really have three things they have to do this offseason: re-sign Grzelcyk, re-sign DeBrusk, and potentially re-sign Chara, because Grzelcyk and DeBrusk are RFAs, Chara UFA. So let's say, hypothetically, Chara gets 1.5 a year. We'll be nice. We'll say, 1.5 for the 1 year. We got DeBrusk for, let's say, 3. Okay. Let's go low and say 3. What do you think it'll be, 3.5 or 3? Right. I mean, it could be more.
3.5, 3.75.
So we'll
say he'd like more, but
we'll say 3.5. So 3.5 plus 1.5 is 5. So that's 5 million right there. Plus, let's say 3 for Grzelcyk. You have 8 million. So that gives you about 3 million to play with in cap space. Mm-hmm. And then if you can unload contracts, if you can unload John Moore to someone who can take him, that gives you maybe 5 to 6. So there's ways to use this cap space. And it feels like they're not going to use it. It feels like they're not going to use that extra cap space. Now, again, there's always, it's like, this feels like, and I always give these like weird analogies, like a Colin Cowherd way of looking at things in real life terms. It feels like Christmas. Mm-hmm. This offseason was going to feel like Christmas going in. You had the draft where big things could happen. You had free agency where big things could happen. You had the trade market where big things could happen with regard to the Bruins. Draft comes. Are they going to trade Rask? Nope, he's staying, which good. Great, by the way, great piece by Steve Conroy last week in the Herald on the Tuukka Rask stuff. So draft comes, nothing happens. They make a trade with the Maple Leafs to drop 7th round picks. Free agency comes, nothing happens. They re-sign Kevin Miller, sign Craig Smith, but then as Torrey Krug leaves, they hold the Kevin Miller press conference as the news is happening, which was interesting. So you have that. So you re-sign Kevin Miller, lose Krug, which you expected, and you sign Craig Smith. Not big, nothing crazy, no fireworks. And it's like we keep getting let down. It's like, Christmas Eve, nothing happens. Christmas morning, the presents weren't that great. Parents weren't that great to us. But then we got grandmas later, or we got the aunts and uncles later who have presents. That's like the trade market. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a big present to unpack, or maybe there's nothing. And it feels like there's nothing because the trades are happening now. By the way, I love you mentioned the Joe Sakic screwing everybody over. The Blackhawks turning Artemi Panarin into Nikita Zadorov. Respect. But
good job, guys. I
just look at what's going on this offseason, and it's like these are kind of obvious moves. It feels like unless they really feel that they want to, that they don't really feel like they can contend for a cup next year. And to that case, I say, well, then what are you doing?
If that's the case, if that's the case, then why don't you trade Krejci and Rask when you have a chance for picks even?
Yes. So that's
I don't think you should have, but
I don't think they should have either. I mean, again, I think they should be going for a cup. Again, these cores do not come around often. And by the way, the Craig Smith signing is great. It is. Yes. I mean, maybe they feel like he's a second line right winger. But here's another thing that Don Sweeney always mentions, and same with Cassidy. They always mention this with everything, and they love the internal competition. There's something about it. They just love it. It is exciting to them, and they love the internal competition. And when you add Craig Smith to the mix, we've said this before lots of times. You have Craig Smith, Jake DeBrusk, Andre Kasha, Nick Ritchie, Anders Bjork, now Jack Studnicka, all battling for left wing, right wing, left wing, right wing spots on the second and third line. I think they like that. I think in their minds, they think, hell yes, let them play so hard that it doesn't even matter if they have chemistry or not. They're going to play so hard that they battle for a spot. And it feels like that hasn't worked in past years. What has worked is the consistency, is knowing who the second line right winger is, which they haven't in a long time, or knowing who the third line right wing or left wing is. And they don't have that. And again, that's why you have an 82-game season. I don't know if this year's probably not going to be 82 games.
Hopefully not.
But hopefully not. No, I agree with you. I hope it isn't. I hope it's more in the ballpark of like 40 or 45. But I look at that and I think, God damn, that's it. Everything we said was going to happen with them standing pat feels like it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're being critical now, and I think it's warranted based on the window this team has.
The sky is
the
falling.
Fact that,
that's the time word. The sky is falling.
And you know what? We can look back on this, and if we are in June and life is potentially back to normal, and the Bruins are in the Stanley Cup final, and Greg Smith scored 25 goals, and Andre Kasha has 25 goals, and Jackson Nika is a Calder finalist, and Vakanainen's averaging 18-30 a game, and he has 15 points, and Grzelcyk's at 30 points, and all of this works out. That would be fantastic, and I would love to be proven wrong in terms of you putting all of your eggs in the basket of these younger players and hoping that they're going to bail you out, or guys like Smith and Kasha. But you're hoping for a whole lot of 50-50 bets to fall you away. It's like
and they haven't been.
Yeah, and it's just reality. It's not like hopping on. You need your younger players to 1 year in the league to all of a sudden be world burners or guys that are going to break through, right? Like, it's not fair to expect last year for Anders Bjork to come in and give you 20 goals, right? Like, and if he steps up this year and he's got 15 goals and 40-something points, that's great. But are you expecting Jackson Nika to be a 40-point, 50-point guy? He's had a good run in the playoffs and he's a talented guy, but I don't know how you're putting all that instead of taking advantage of a market that's depressed right now, that has guys available for way below their market value, and you're one of the few teams that had some wiggle room going into it. So,
I mean, you look at this top nine, Marchand, Bergeron, Pastrnak, DeBrusk, Krejci, Kasha. That's your same top six as last year. The third line, though, is kind of exciting. I mean, Coyle with Smith on the right, Bjork or Stanika maybe on the left. That's not bad. But then it's the aspect of it's a solid lineup on paper. Because again, Kasha, for a full season could be 25 goals. DeBrusk for a full season could be consistent next year. Bjork could start scoring. A lot of coulds, a lot of what ifs, not a lot of definites.
Yeah.
And that's where you are different than Tampa. That is where you are completely separated from Tampa in the sense that they don't have a lot of what ifs. They don't have a lot of coulds. They have a lot of do's and will definitely. And the Bruins don't have any of that, at least on those wings with the second and third lines. And that's your issue. So again, you got to get creative. Does Smith play with the first line with Marchand and Bergeron? Does Pastrnak come down? Cassidy loves to mix and mingle with his lines, so obviously that could happen. The one offseason move, though, I'm happy the Bruins weren't really in on was Petraglia, just because now I see the contract and we all kind of go, we knew that was coming. Yeah. You knew that contract was coming. It's not going to be an amazing one. It's going to be good for the first 2 or 3 years. And if Vegas gets a cup out of it, I guess nothing matters.
Yeah.
But I would not have wanted the Bruins to go after that contract. A lot of people wanted Petraglia, and rightfully so. I mean, the guy is top 5 defenseman in the league, probably, maybe. And so, having him on the Bruins, I think would be great, but you have to evaluate the long term of it, and that is not great.
It's like, I think we talked about this before. It's like when the Red Sox got Kyle Crawford, like they signed him. You're like, oh yeah, we don't really need him, but I mean, listen, Val Petrangelo, he's available for a cheap value. You get him, but for the cost you paid for him, and for a guy who's a right D anyway, you know what? Yeah. Again, you just went through the forward lines, and it's a lot of coulds and woulds. go through the decor right now, how it's constituted, and roll through.
Oh, I don't want to look at that.
Yeah, and
Throw a
that's not even
tarp
a lot
on
of
that. I don't want to see it.
that's not even Goods or Woods. That's like, oh shit, this is risk. That's not Good or Woods. That's like risk in terms of some of the guys you have out there. And again, I would love to be proven wrong if they roll out, those younger players and they all hit the ice running. But I think when you look at what you're trying to get out of this upcoming season, if you're trying to go for it again, you get what you pay for. You get what risk you put into it. And I don't know, man. It's not ideal.
I mean, you look at the defense right now. Grizzly McAvoy, okay. Question mark in Carlo. Sick.
John Moore.
Ergo Vakanainen, maybe. I mean, it's just that is not good. I mean, for Moore's money, he should be there, but we know that's not going to happen. And then the third pairing, Lauzon and Chara, Clifton and Chara, Lauzon and Clifton. I mean, like, the Chara thing is like whatever, but I mean, the more you look at that, if they needed extra cap space, you just wouldn't re-sign Chara. But they don't seem to be like needing cap space because they're not really using it. So it's like, well, the hell with it. I mean, then I guess do re-sign him, which I'm for. We're both for the money. But I mean, that decor is not amazing. I mean, that decor is nothing that stands out. That's nothing that, I mean, Grzelcyk smaller, McAvoy, is their number one now. Carlo bigger, but on the left side, I mean, Moore is not particularly huge. He's not going to clear guys out. Lauzon is tough, but not like, I wouldn't say it's tough to get inside on, at least from what we've seen.
Yeah, he's just a young player. So
young player, you can't expect that of him. So, I mean, this is a very negative episode, and we're not usually negative people. We're
I think I'm a beacon of optimism and hope. Usually,
we're all positivity over here, and we're all positive. We're positive pals. But you look at this crew, and it's like, oh, and by the way, they're not going to suck. They're not going to be bad with this roster. Like, they're going to make the playoffs. It's just, are you just going to be out in the second round in Tampa again? Like, that's where you're at. Like, the whole goal of this should be an arms race with Tampa Bay. And doesn't mean you have to – and Tampa Bay hasn't made a lot of moves. Doesn't mean you don't make a lot of moves. It means you just have to get your roster to be better than Tampa. And they tried to do that at the deadline. It didn't work. And I haven't really seen a lot of efforts in this offseason aside from Craig Smith. So we'll see. It's going to be a long offseason. There's still time. But it feels like the clock's running out, even though it's been like free agency's been around for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Still, that is how it feels. Conor, before I let you go, is there anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have stuff for the entire week in terms of free agency and moves, because I'm sure it's going to be something new every single day, another gripe or something for us to talk about. So we'll have stuff, plenty of stuff on at bostonsportsjournal.com. So subscribe there. You can follow me on Twitter at ConorRyan_93.
Do all of that. And for CLNS Media, I'm Evan Marinofsky. You Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.